It's the Devy Digest powered by League Winners. I'm Andy, and we're previewing the Big 12 Conference. We cover all this and more after the intro. What is going on? We are covering the Big 12 Conference today. We are breaking it down into two parts. There's like 16 teams, so we're going to do 8 teams per episode. So let's get right into it. Now, with the Big 12, they are losing 2 teams, Texas and Oklahoma. They leave the Big 12, and in comes Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado. Big 12 was the 2023 Big 12 champion, so we will be finding a new champion for the 2024 season. The first team up is going to be the Arizona Wildcats. Now, this past season, they finished 10-3 in the Pac-12. Head coach Jedd Fisch leaves for Washington. In comes new head coach Brent Brennan from San Jose State. Now, with Arizona, they have the 16th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. There's only 16 teams, so that means they finished last with this recruiting class. Their highest profile player is running back Jordan Washington. He's a 4-star recruit. 5'10", 160 pounds, very good lateral agility. He doesn't slow down when he is shifting, so he does have some good lateral movement to him. He is a capable receiver. He runs as if he is shot out of a cannon. He's a very electric player. He is a fluid athlete. He's slippery, a two-way player, and he does need to add some weight to his game. In the portal with Arizona, they were able to get running back Wally Conley from San Jose State. So he comes and he follows his head coach to Arizona. They also went and grabbed Ja'Cory Merritt from New Mexico. They do have some key losses to the portal. First one is true freshman quarterback Damon Williams. He goes to Washington and follows Jedd Fisch, as does running back Jonah Coleman. He will also be going to Washington. And as we take a look at Arizona's team, their main Devy asset is going to be Ted McMillan. He's a consensus top 3 wide receiver in the 2025 class. He's a tall, lanky wide receiver. I have questions about his overall athletic traits at the next level. I'm not there with him being a Drake London type of an athlete. I've always been lower on Ted than the consensus, so I might just be slow to catch up, but he's a top 3 consensus 25 receiver, and he is probably their only Devy asset. You have some fringe worthy players here that could be considered Devy prospects if they kind of make some jumps here and there. And the first one is quarterback Noah Fafita. He does lack some size, and he isn't a mobile quarterback. He'll move around. He'll kind of move around in the pocket to buy some extra time, but you're not going to really think of him as a true runner for college purposes. He does have that connection with Ted McMillan. They've been teammates since high school, and so he is one to watch that could develop into a Devy prospect. I'm in a couple of startups right now, and he is going pretty high. So he's being valued as a Devy asset, or he's being valued as a top end CFF quarterback right now. Another player to watch for Arizona is wide receiver Kevin Green Jr. He's likely available for supplemental drafts. He is someone that was a true freshman last year, had 8 catches for 97 yards. He's 5'11", 170 pounds. He has the ability to take over that slot role from Jacob Cowing this upcoming season. And he's someone that could develop into something. So, towards the end of your supplemental drafts, if you want to take a flyer, there's likely worse options that you can take. So he's one to consider. And a CFF, I would say a CFF only asset for Arizona, it's going to be running back Wally Conley. He had a very efficient season at San Jose State last year. He shared the workload last year, so he doesn't need a lot of carries to be efficient. It's likely he might be in a committee this year again, with them bringing in two portal backs and then a couple of freshmen into the room. So he might get that 55-45 split. But for Arizona, that's what we're looking for. It's not likely they're going to have a top end team. So they might be trailing, and that will bode well for Ted McMillan. The next team that we're going to talk about is the Arizona State Sun Devils. They were 3-9 this past season, and they had the ninth ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. Their highest profile recruit is running back Jason Brown. He's a 4-star. He's 5'9", 200 pounds. He is a one-cut runner. He's willing to run between the tackles, good lateral agility, good vision. He's a very twitchy athlete. He is a three-phase player. He does allow his blocks to kind of form before he goes, so he does show some patience as a runner. Now, from the portal, they do grab a couple of guys. They grab running back / receiver / returner / no real position kind of a guy, Raleek Brown from USC. He'll try to get some traction. He wasn't able to find any real playing time, wasn't able to get his footing at USC. So he goes to Arizona State, where they'll likely use him in space. They might line him up out wide. They might line up in the backfield and kind of motion him out, kind of be that space creator type of a player. They also bring in quarterback Sam Levitt from Michigan State, and off-season reports have indicated that he'll be competing for the quarterback one spot. He is a fan of Kenny Dillingham. He values what he does developing quarterbacks. So that's one of the reasons why he did come to Arizona State. They didn't really lose much in the portal. Some Devy assets that they have: quarterback Jaden Rashada in the same class as Sam Levitt. He has a full year under his belt. He did flash at times last year, and last year he was hurt, so he did miss the majority of the season. But he was one of my favorite quarterbacks from last year's crop. He is someone that I'm really high on. I think he'll be able to beat out Sam Levitt easily. And you might have two quarterbacks, two young quarterbacks on that roster. From all indications, it doesn't look like Sam Levitt is one of those guys that's going to try to compete, and if he doesn't get the job, will transfer out. So he might be there for this year, and we'll see what happens in the upcoming year. Now, wide receiver Elijah Badger is someone that I view as a Devy asset. He is kind of a guy that you give the ball in space to, let him create. He's able to win short to intermediate routes. He is someone that he has shown flashes. He's been handicapped by his quarterback. He hasn't had a good quarterback play his entire career at Arizona State. So if Jaden Rashada is able to take that next step and be the quarterback that a lot of people believe him to be, Elijah Badger should be the benefit of that. He might finally get over 1,000 yards in a single season, but he is someone that I do like. I view him as a playmaker. Get him the ball in short to intermediate area, let him create after the catch. One other player that I would consider as a Devy asset for this team is running back Jason Brown, the incoming freshman. He's a really good player. He's someone that what Kenny Dillingham is building, he's building a good program, a good base. Year one, he grabbed a lot of guys that will be structurally sound to kind of build on a program. And then year two, he built upon that even further, grabbing more depth at other positions, grabbing a running back where he's kind of lacking at that position because, as we'll talk next, a fringe Devy potential is Cam Scatabo. He's someone that has transferred up from the FCS level, but they don't really have anyone that is that high-profile athlete that has a lot of the natural traits that you see. And Jason Brown does bring that. I do view him kind of earning a role this year as a true freshman, and he'll become likely the lead back next season. So I would get him now in those Devy drafts, probably in in that last round of a Devy draft, I would kind of look at him in a C2C supplemental draft. He'll likely go probably in the fourth round range. So in that range, I would definitely take a look at him as he's someone that does have a clear path of playing time next year, and he should get a role this year. The aforementioned Cam Scatterbo is our next player that we're going to talk about, and he does have some fringe Devy potential. He is a bowling ball. He is someone that is just going to gain steam, gain momentum, and kind of pick up yards here and there. He is a capable receiver. I do question his overall athletic traits. At the next level, he might end up being like that Cody Schrader type where the hard work got them to the Division One from the FCS Division Two type level, and their hard work ethic got them to where they were at a Power Five school or a Power Four school. And then at the next level with testing, you kind of see some limitations, but they might stick on. So kind of like a day three kind of guy. So that's how I kind of view Cam Scatterbo. A CFF asset for Arizona State is wide receiver Xavier Guillory. He is likely available in your sub drafts, and he's going to be the wide receiver 2 this year. There were times last year when Elijah Badger missed a couple of games where he was able to show out, and so he has the ability to kind of make some plays here and there. And again, if Jalen Rashad is able to take that next step, there's got to be some wide receivers that'll benefit from that. And the two will be Elijah Badger and Xavier Guillory. So that will cover Arizona State. The next team that we're going to talk about are the Baylor Bears, and they were 3-9 last year. They have a new offensive coordinator, Jack Spavital, came from Cal. Now, Baylor, they have the 13th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12, and the highest profile recruits that they bring in. The first one is running back Joseph Dodds. He's a 3-star in the composites. He's 5'11, 195 pounds. Now, he claims that he runs a 4.4. That's what he claims. We'll have to see. On tape, when you watch him, he is someone that does run away from defenders and does have good speed. So while he claims 4.4, it might be on the 4.5 end right now. But he does have some good contact balance. He will run between tackles, and he is someone that will take on defenders. He's not going to shy away from it. He does have good patience and some vision, and he is someone that I kind of like. The one thing that is lacking from him is a receiving profile. He didn't really have one in high school, so I kind of wonder if that is there, or if was it the system that they didn't use a running back in the receiving game, or is that just kind of him where he's just more of that pure runner and not much as a receiver? The next player that they bring in is wide receiver Jaden Porter. He's a 3-star, 5'11", 190 pounds. He is someone that has really good lateral movement, good creator after the catch. So he's someone that could see some playing time out of the slot, maybe even as in the return game. So he does have kind of a pathway to see playing time as a true freshman. Now in the portal, they were able to grab some guys. They got quarterback DeQuan Finn from Toledo. He's going to be the starter there. And that's going to be a fun kind of wait and see. DeQuan Finn has been a very fun player for CFF purposes at Toledo. He was their do-it-all kind of a player. He would be a threat to take it to the house with his legs just as much as with his arms of throwing a deep connection. So he does step up to Baylor. We'll have to see what happens there with him. Now, they also bring in wide receiver Ashton Hawkins from Texas State and tight end Michael Trigg from Ole Miss. They lose a couple of players in the portal. Quarterback Blake Shapen, he goes to Mississippi State, and tight end Drake Abney, he goes to Houston. Now, I'm not quite ready to say DeQuan Finn is a Devy asset, but he is in that fringe potential. He has every chance to show himself to be a Devy asset this year. Like I said earlier, he is that dual threat quarterback. I want to see how he does against better competition. It's one thing to do it in the MAC and to be exciting and action, but to be able to do it in the Big 12, in a Power Four conference, that could be something that if he can do it, yeah, I can see him getting maybe like a third round draft capital next year. And if he has great athletic testing, he could, bump up. But as of right now, I'm not quite ready to call him a Devy asset. He's more on that fringe potential. Another fringe candidate is running back Dawson Pendergrass. He's likely available in your subdraft, in your C2C leagues. And as a true freshman last year, he ran the ball 79 times for 338 yards with 5 touchdowns and 26 receptions. Now, he is a bigger body running back. He's 6'2", 219 pounds. So if Baylor is going to use that committee, he is going to be that thunder and the thunder and lightning kind of a system that they'll run. The next player that I kind of have some fringe Devy aspirations for is running back Joseph Dodds. Now, as we mentioned earlier, Jake Spavital is the new offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator at Cal, where he was able to develop Jaden Ott. Joseph Dawes, the incoming freshman, he's kind of got that similar mold, similar body type, and I wonder if he becomes their Jaden Ott, if not this year, next year. He could easily fall into that lightning role that they have there. So it'll be kind of interesting to see what happens. But I do kind of like him as an incoming freshman. And he's someone that could definitely develop there in that offense. And then finally, tight end Michael Trigg. He's a very athletic tight end. He has always shown out in spring games. He is the spring game champ. So he's someone that he could quite possibly look good in the spring and, have that rapport with DeQuan Finn. And he might end up being DeQuan Finn's kind of safety blanket at Baylor this year. And a CFF asset who could form into a Devy kind of potential is Monterey Baldwin. He's a speedy wide receiver. 38 catches this past year for 623 yards and 4 touchdowns. If him and DeQuan Finn can kind of hook up on these long passes, it could be a pretty fun season for Baylor. Now, the next team that we are going to talk about are the BYU Cougars. They were 5-7 last year. They have the 7th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. Their highest profile recruits are tight end Reiner Swanson, is a 4-star in the composites, and wide receiver Ty Nakua is a 3-star, 6'2", 175 pounds. Yes, he is Puka's brother. The portal gains that they have is quarterback Jerry Bohannon from USF. He comes in, and reportedly he is battling out for the starting position at quarterback for BYU. I would have to lay him being the odds-on favorite to win the quarterback position. The quarterback play that they had last year was not good at all, and the entire receiving group kind of suffered from it. Jerry Bohannon offers some experience, some leadership there. He's able to create and extend plays where the quarterback room prior to him coming in kind of lack playmaking ability. So he does have that edge, and I do think at the end of the day that he will win out and be named the starting quarterback. BYU didn't really lose much in the portal. They also don't really have any Devy assets right now, but they do have some, a couple of fringe Devy guys. The first one is running back LJ Martin. Now, he was a true freshman last year, and he ran the ball 109 times for 518 yards and 4 touchdowns. He is one of those one-cut-and-go type of runners. I question his long speed, but he does have instinctual ability to kind of get to the second level, and he is someone that is going to be the lead back this year. BYU will be focusing on the run game this year to kind of slow the game down, minimize possessions, kind of keep it a slower pace type of a game where they don't have to score 20, 24, 28 points a game. They can win those 13-7, 13-10, 17-10 kind of a game. So that's what BYU is going to be looking for. And for them to be able to do that, LJ Martin has to take the next step. The other fringe Devy potential is the aforementioned incoming true freshman wide receiver Ty Nakua. Now, I don't see if things go right for BYU, he shouldn't see the playing field this year. He'll have a chance to develop a full year under his belt. This past season in high school, he really took over in some games. He did really well. He kind of does everything, for his high school team. And then there were some games where he kind of, I wouldn't say disappeared, but he didn't have the kind of game that they were expecting. He was the kind of player where the high school team put everything on his back, and at times he was able to carry the load. I want to see Ty Nakua have that year to kind of grow and develop and get into that strength and conditioning program. He is not an early enrollee, so he won't get in until the summer. So he'll have some catching up to do, and I think because of that, I don't think it's likely that we should see anything from him as a true freshman, but he'll have every chance to carry that Nakua legacy name at BYU in the upcoming years. A CFF asset that they do have is wide receiver Cody Epps. He's likely available in your sub drafts. He is that slot build type of a receiver. He's 5'11", 187 pounds. He is a good creator in space with good speed. In 2022, he flashed. He had games where he just overtook and just helped BYU try to stay in games. This past season, the quarterback play wasn't great, and the entire receiving group kind of suffered from it. In 2 years at BYU, he does have 60 receptions for 718 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he is someone that if Jerry Bohannon is named the starter and he is a competent starter, he's someone that could form that relationship with Cody Epps. And I kind of want to see Cody Epps be used as a boundary receiver to be that speed threat. Right now at BYU, they don't really have any speed options. So you can't really stretch the field. You can't really create any spacing. Cody Epps was used as a short area player. He's been used in the slot. So if they're able to tweak some things and if they want to get some speed onto the field, I kind of want to see Cody Epps be used as kind of more of that deep threat. The next team that we're going to talk about is the UCF Golden Knights. Now, this past season, they were 6-7. They do have the second-ranked recruiting class coming in the Big 12. Their highest profile recruits are tight end Kylan Fox. He's a 4-star. He is 6'4", 201 pounds. And they bring in a couple of running backs who are pretty good. The first one is running back Frankie Arthur. He is a 4-star in the composites. He's 5'10", 200 pounds. As a runner, he does have good contact balance. He is patient as a runner. He will allow his blocks to form. He does have some lateral agility that I do like, and he is a capable receiver. He's more quick than fast, though. The next running back that they bring in is Stacey Gage. He is a 3-star in the composites. He's 5'10", 205 pounds. He's a fluid runner. He does have a spin move that he uses a lot, and that does work at the high school level. He is someone that is going to make defenders miss in the phone booth. And I do like that he'll work for extra yardage. He isn't someone that'll go down on initial contact. I do like his lateral quickness. I view him as a better athlete than the services do. I kind of like him. I think him being a 3-star is kind of low. So I do like him more than the services do. He is just that tough runner. One thing with him is he went to 3 different high schools and his efficiency went down this past season. But running back, the next one we're going to look at is wide receiver Brodell Richardson. He's a 3-star in the composites. He's 6 foot, 190 pounds, and he is someone that he was used more of that vertical route tree guy. He makes acrobatic catches. He is someone that's probably going to take some time to adjust at the next level, so I wouldn't expect much from him this upcoming season. But if he can get in, during mop-up duty, if earlier in the season, UCF plays some teams where they're able to kind of outman them and they're up, late in the game and he sees some playing time that way, I think that would bode well for him. And someone that's kind of exciting is quarterback EJ Colson. He is a 3-star in the composites. 6 foot, 195 pounds. He does throw with a lively arm. He is able to keep players alive with his feet. He does have good ball placement. I do like that about him. He is comfortable throwing on the run. He will move around the pocket, and he has a quick throwing motion that I do like. It's a very compact throwing motion. He is comfortable throwing on the run without setting his feet. He's able to throw into tight windows. He does show the ability to layer his passes. He does have that good mobility. Now, he won't be starting this year. He'll be sitting behind KJ Jefferson, but he can win that backup role. And then once KJ Jefferson moves on, it could be his job for the taking. Now, in the portal, they do grab a couple of guys. Aforementioned quarterback KJ Jefferson from Arkansas. And they also bring in wide receiver from Florida State, Goldie Lawrence. Now, on the losses, they lose some depth at running back and wide receiver, but nothing really of note. Some fringe Devy potential players that they have, quarterback KJ Jefferson. There was some Devy buzz with him last year at Arkansas before it kind of unraveled for him. But if he can recoup that form that he had in 2022, and he can show that he can lead this UCF team to some wins and make some plays, he could have some end of day 2, early day 3 kind of buzz next year. But he does have to do everything perfectly because his final season at Arkansas was not good at all. Running back RJ Harvey is another one that has some fringe Devy potential. He's 5'8", 195 pounds, so he is a little undersized. But this past season, 226 carries, 1,014 over 1,400 running yards, 16 touchdowns. He had 19 receptions as well. So he was able to show that he does have some usage in the receiving game. He has been someone that is efficient with every year that he's been with the program, but he is a little undersized for the next level. If he can show a better receiving profile, he might be someone that can get kind of a day 3 draft capital. And next one is wide receiver Kobe Hudson, 6'1", 200 pounds, 44 catches, 900 yards with 8 touchdowns last year. He has a 2.43 yards per route run with a 15.3 dot. So he was used as that deep target this past season. He should be the leading target earner this year. We have Javon Baker vacating a bunch of targets, and Kobe Hudson can eat most of those. He would need to be used more into that intermediate kind of a route kind of guy. So he'll have to be used on all 3 levels. This past year, he was used mainly as that deep, threat kind of a speedy guy with Javon Baker working in the intermediate and in the end zone targets. So we'll have to see what Kobe Hudson does this upcoming season in that transformed wide receiver group. But Kobe Hudson should be the wide receiver 1 in that room. And then for a CFF asset, it's going to be quarterback EJ Colson for 2025. You probably don't need to get him this year. He'll probably be a free agent. He probably won't get picked up in any of the leagues. But if you're in a league where at the end of the season, if you're in a limited waiver or even for an unlimited waiver, I guess, if you have at the end of the year a couple of waiver pickups left and you want to use them, he could be someone that you pick up and get rid of those super seniors that are out of eligibility and kind of see what you have. So that is UCF. The next team that we are talking about is the Cincinnati Bearcats. They were 3-9 this past season. They have the 11th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. Their highest profile recruit coming in is quarterback Samaj Jones. He's a 3-star recruit, 5'11", 220 pounds. He is a player that will climb the pocket. He does have a lively arm. I really do like his strong arm that he has. He can throw on the run and be comfortable with that. He is someone that does place the ball well to his receivers. He's able to extend plays and make plays with his feet. He is someone that is quick with decision making, so I do like that. He is a mobile runner. He's more of that power runner, being 5'11", 220 pounds. He does run people over. He is thickly built and he comes from an RPO system in high school. If he can sit back and develop and kind of compete next year, he might be someone to watch. They also bring in wide receiver Kel Woodburn. He's a 3-star in the composites, and he's someone that could potentially see some action next year as well. Now, in the portal, Cincinnati, they grabbed quite a few players. They grabbed running back Evan Pryor from Ohio State, wide receiver Tyron Smith from UTEP, tight end Joe Royer from Ohio State, and quarterback Brennan Sorsby from Indiana. They do lose tight end Shimon Meteor. He goes to Colorado. Uh, I don't view Cincinnati having any Devy assets, but they do have some potential fringe Devy guys, and that is running back Corey Kiner. This past season, he carried the ball for 192 yards for 1,047 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's 5'9", 215 pounds. He had 637 yards after contact this past season with 53 missed tackles forced. And he had a 35.7 percentage of his runs be breakaway runs. So he's someone that he might work at the next level. I want to see more of a receiving profile from him. He's someone that I just need to watch more film on. I do think he's a very productive player. I want to see what his trait is going to be that he'll kind of hang his hat on when he goes to the NFL. So he's someone for me that's a fringe asset. A CFF only asset that they have is going to be wide receiver Tyron Smith. Now, he battled injuries this past season, and he's a year removed from his injuries. He should be fully healthy, and he should be, if not the leading target earner, one of the leading target earners for whoever Cincinnati decides to put in as their quarterback. The next team that we are going to talk about is the Colorado Buffaloes. This past season, they were 4-8. They have the 15th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. And like I said earlier, there's only 16 teams there, so they finished 15th. Their highest rated profile recruit is wide receiver Draylon Miller, is a 4-star in the composites. He's 5'11", 205 pounds. He's a very athletic, twitchy, electric type of a player. He has amazing open field vision. He is a creator with the ball in his hands. He does track the ball very well. He's very slippery in the open field. He'll bounce off defenders, and he just has a nose for the end zone. He has very good lateral movement. He lined up in the backfield to take handoffs. He lined up out wide. He was used everywhere. So he is someone that is the highest kind of profile recruit that they have coming in. But the issue is they brought in a bunch of guys in the portal at the receiver position. They brought in Cordell Russell from TCU, Will Shepard from Vanderbilt, LeJontay Wester from Florida Atlantic, Terrell Timmons from NC State, and they brought in tight end Shimon Meteor from Cincinnati. The only really key losses they have is tight end Michael Harrison. He goes to San Diego State, and running back Anthony Hankerson, he goes to Ohio State. Now, the issue with Colorado that I have is Pat Shermer. He's their offense coordinator. When there were rumblings and talks that the reason why Sean Lewis was let go or was demoted from calling plays is he would not call any runs. I don't blame Sean Lewis. They didn't have any running backs last year, and they didn't have any offensive line guys last year. So running the ball didn't work for them. They, as a team, I think they ran under. I think it was under 3 yards a carry as a team, I believe. So it wasn't working. So Sean Lewis used short passes as their run game, and while they went 4-8 last year, they were able to stay in games by using that quick passing system where Shador Sanders, he didn't have to hold the ball for longer than 2 seconds because he couldn't have. Now they go to Pat Shermer. There's indications that they're going to be using a hybrid type of a West Coast offense. There's talks about, you know, Coach Prime wants to showcase Shador and being able to go to his second and third reads. And, Shador is a Devy asset. For a lot of people, he is up there as a top 5 quarterback for next year's class. I want to see how he does in Pat Shermer's system. I want to see if he'll have time. I want to see if he'll be able to read defenses, go to his second and maybe third reads. I want to see more passes where he throws more than 10 yards of air, and I want to see how he does with that. He showed that he could do that last year, so I'm not saying he can't, but he didn't do a lot of it last year. A lot of it was a lot of dink and dunk and just kind of let the receivers create in space. So he is one Devy asset that they have. Another one that they have is Travis Hunter. My question with Travis Hunter is, will he continue to be a two-way player? Is he going to be someone that's going to play 80 plus snaps a game? Is he going to be someone that is going to play every single play on offense and defense? I really do question that. Does he play less on the offensive side? Is he going to be more focused on the defense? Does he want to be more focused on defense, or does he want to play wide receiver? Does he want to be that receiver? And there's just so many question marks. They brought in 4 portal receivers, Draylon Miller. They have Jimmy Horn Jr. that's still there. They have Amarion Miller that's still there. There's a lot of mouths to feed at the wide receiver position, so I just question what they want to do with that. They have 7, 8 receivers. So why do you bring in all these receivers if your wide receiver one is Travis Hunter? I understand you want depth, but you also want depth at other positions. It just doesn't make sense of what they went in and what they did. So that's the only thing that I question. Is Travis Hunter going to be more playing defense and he'll be sprinkled in on offense where if they need a key third down, he comes in the slot and kind of get that first down? Does he come in when does he only come in on offense when he's literally going to be targeted? That's my thing with Colorado. I don't know and don't feel comfortable assessing and laying out, okay, this is what's going to happen. So there's a lot of question marks there. Some fringe Devy guys that they have is wide receiver Jimmy Horn. He's been productive throughout his entire career. He is that slot build kind of guy, 5'10", 170 pounds. He does create in space. The other fringe Devy guy that they have is wide receiver Will Shepard. He has 3 years of production, 21 career touchdowns, transfers in from Vandy, 6'3", 198 pounds. Is he someone that's going to be the wide receiver one in that room? So it's just a lot of question marks. And then you also have Alton McCaskill coming in as running back. He's essentially has 2 years with no production. He's reportedly healthy. He's reportedly doing all the drills right now, and he expects to play day one. So if we get the Alton McCaskill from Houston when he blew up as a freshman, it could open things up. But if he is someone that isn't quite the same guy, then Colorado's still going to have issues on the run with the run game. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the Houston Cougars. They were 4-8 last year. Head coach Dana Holgerson was not retained. They went and they grabbed Tulane's Willie Fritz to be the new coach, and they have the 14th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. Their highest rated profile recruits are wide receiver Jayshon Ridgel. He's a 3-star in the composites, and wide receiver Kobe Young. He's also a 3-star in the composites. I do like Young a little bit more between the two. He's 6 foot, 170 pounds. He does track the ball very well. He has strong hands, and he creates after the catch. They also bring in running back Jamarian Burnett. He's a 3-star in the composites. He's 6'1", 230 pounds. He is a type of a player that just keeps his feet churning. He fights for those extra yards. He has adequate speed, good size and speed combination. He will run between the tackles. He's a downhill runner. He does have good enough lateral movement and good enough wiggle. I just didn't see any receiving work in his profile. Being 6'1", 230 pounds, you kind of wonder if he's going to be more of that thumper and not that every down kind of a back for Houston. We'll talk about the running game later on here, but in the portal, they brought in a couple of guys. They brought in quarterbacks Young Chris from Louisiana and wide receiver Mekhi Muse from Georgia. They lose Matthew Golden to Texas, and when we're taking a look at Houston, they do do have some Devy assets. They have wide receiver Samuel Brown. This past season, he had 62 receptions for 815 yards, 3 touchdowns. He outperformed Matthew Golden. And, Golden, he was that Devy darling for Houston, but it was Sam Brown that actually carved out to be the guy. And he is someone that showed a lot of potential from 2022 to 2023. In 2022, he was suspended for some altercations that he had with teammates. He was kind of I don't want to say knucklehead, but he kind of did some things that was immature as a freshman. This past season, you didn't see any of that. He matured and became that leading target earner and that leader in that room. And he should be that this year as well. So he is a true Devy asset for me. He is someone that can win all three levels. He can win with speed and beat you long just as much as he can win by running routes and beating you with a slant or beating you with an out. He does win at all levels. He has good speed. He's 6'2", 195 pounds. As we were talking about earlier with the running game, they have running back Parker Jenkins, and we know head coach Willie Fritz loves to run the ball. As a true freshman this past season, Parker Jenkins ran it for 99 times for 463 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's 5'11", 196 pounds. So I kind of wonder if they use a two-back system with Jenkins and someone else, and if that other, someone is going to be that freshman Jamarian Burnett. So I kind of want to see how that room gets developed. We saw with Willie Fritz at Tulane, they use primarily a one-back system. Is that going to be the case, or will they kind of use multiple guys here? Parker Jenkins, because of that, he's more on the fringe Devy side for me. And someone else who could also be a fringe Devy guy is wide receiver Kobe Young, the incoming true freshman. He does have some nice tape. He is someone that tracks the ball very well, has strong hands. He creates after the catch. He's 6 foot, 170 pounds. So he's someone that is going to be interesting. And then for our CFF play for 2025, it's going to be quarterback Zion Chris. He was the hand-selected quarterback for Willie Fritz. He went in the portal and he grabbed Zion Chris. So I think this year, I don't know if he beats out Donovan Smith. I don't. Donovan Smith isn't the quarterback that people think he is. He's not that good of a quarterback. I just don't know if Zion Chris is ready to take the job this year. I think he's more of a next year kind of a guy. So he's someone to watch for in 2025. Now, the last team that we are going to talk about, because like I said, there's 16 teams here, and we're already 42 minutes in. It's going to be the Arizona State Cyclones. They were 7-6 this past season. They have a new offense coordinator, Taylor Mauser. He was promoted from the tight ends coach. They have the 12th ranked recruiting class in the Big 12. Their highest rated profile recruit is wide receiver Dominic Overby. He's a 3-star in the composite, 6'4", 180 pounds. And they also have tight end Cooper Alexander. He's also a 3-star. They don't really gain anyone in the portal. They lose Cartavius Norton to Charlotte in the portal. Cartavius Norton was someone that had some buzz last year, but he wasn't very effective last year. And they also lose some depth pieces. Now, Iowa State has some interesting Devy assets. They have quarterback Rocco Beck. Now, that's a true freshman. He threw the ball for 367 times, completed for 237 times, threw it for 3,120 yards with 23 touchdowns. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, and he is someone that, as a sophomore, he can take that next step. He can be a true Devy asset at the quarterback position here, and so he is someone to watch. Another player to watch is running back Abu Sama III. Now, he led the team in rushing this past season as a true freshman with 614 yards on only 84 carries. He has really good lateral quickness to make guys miss, and I really do like his film. That running back room does clear out. To me, he does take over that room, and he will be the RB1. I could see him getting well over 1,000 yards this year. Now, they have two receivers that are on the fringe Devy potential upside. The first one is Jaden Higgins. He's 6'4", 210 pounds. This past year had 53 receptions for 983 yards, 6 touchdowns. Has a 3 yards per route run with a 13.28 dot. He is someone that he can take the next step and be a really good Devy potential there. I want to see that next step for him to take. And there's also another guy in that room that could also kind of be that fringe Devy guy, and that is Jalen Noel. He is 5'11", 200 pounds, 66 receptions, 820 yards for 7 touchdowns. Had a 2.55 yards per route run with more 7.78 dots. So he was used into that short to intermediate area and kind of that slot build. So we gotta kind of see what happens at Iowa State next year. Now that is part 1 of the Big 12. And if you've enjoyed this episode, some of my other works that I do, you can find my audio and video shows every Sunday and Wednesday. The Devy Digest show through the league winners. They air on Spotify and Apple every Monday and Thursday. On Mondays, I host the Future Phenoms with Nino Brown and S.C. Romero. They air on Spotify and Apple every Tuesday. On Tuesdays, we do Welcome to the Big House through the CFB Nation. They air on Spotify and Apple a couple of days later. For my written content, you can find them through the league winners every Monday. We do a 2024 Devy Digest player profile to get you ready for those rookie drafts. Every Friday, we do the Devy Digest Freshman Friday player profile. And every Wednesday and Sunday, we do content on Utah, Utah State, and BYU football to get you ready for the spring camp and get you some exclusive content behind the scenes. Now, we'll be back next time. But before we go, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, comment, subscribe. You can follow me at Andy_Fam1. And if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, give us a rate and review, and we'll see you next time on the Devy Digest.